Have you ever packed up a bag of old clothes feeling proud that you were helping someone in need? We've all done it. It feels generous, even noble, a simple way to give back, to share what we no longer need. After all, what harm could there be in giving away a few shirts, some jeans, or that jacket you haven't worn in years? But what if I told you? This well-meaning act might be quietly draining your fortune, disturbing your peace, or even placing a spiritual burden on someone else's life. You see, in the world of traditional Feng Shui and spiritual wisdom, clothing isn't just fabric. It's a vessel of energy. Every piece of clothing you've worn carries more than just your scent or style. It absorbs your emotions, your experiences, your energy, both good and bad. And when given away thoughtlessly, that energy doesn't just vanish. It travels, it lingers, and sometimes it harms. There have been countless stories of people who receive secondhand clothes only to find their luck spiraling downward. Sleepless nights, tension at home, unexpected illnesses, or strange streaks of misfortune. On the surface, everything seemed fine, but energetically, something was off. And the source? Often traced back to clothes once worn during hardship, loss, illness, or by someone carrying heavy emotional burdens. That's why today's video is more than a casual conversation. It's a wake-up call. We're going to uncover the hidden risks of giving away old clothes carelessly. You'll learn why this common act, if done wrong, can bring about bad luck for both you and the recipient, and how, when done with the right energy and understanding, it can actually bring blessings, balance, and protection. So before you toss another shirt into the donation pile, pause, reflect, ask yourself, what energy are you passing on? What stories, emotions, and unseen forces are stitched into those threads? Comment below. Do you usually keep your old clothes, donate them, or just throw them away? And don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because what you're about to learn could transform the way you look at even the simplest acts of giving. At first glance, a shirt is just a shirt. A pair of jeans? Just another item in the closet. But from a spiritual and energetic standpoint, especially in Feng Shui clothing, is far more than just fabric stitched together. It's a vessel, a silent witness to your life, your emotions, and your experiences. And over time, that clothing begins to absorb and store your personal energy, both the light and the dark. Every time you wear something, it makes contact with your skin, your breath, your energy field. Whether you're feeling joyful or anxious, whether you're thriving or facing hardship, that emotion imprints itself onto the garment. This is why, in ancient traditions, clothing is considered one of the most spiritually charged possessions a person can own. Now imagine giving those clothes away without thinking, without cleansing, without understanding the impact. You're not just donating fabric. You may be passing along sadness, illness, stress, or misfortune. Not out of malice, but out of unawareness. If the person who once wore the clothing endured chronic illness, emotional trauma, or extended periods of bad luck, that negative energy doesn't simply disappear. It lingers. And when someone else puts on that same piece, they might unknowingly take on energy that was never theirs to carry. Many people have reported feeling unusually tired, anxious, or emotionally unsettled after wearing secondhand clothes, even when the items look brand new. That's not coincidence. It's energetic residue. So before you give something away, ask yourself, what energy does this carry? Because in the world of spiritual alignment, what we give is also what we send out into the universe. We often think of emotions as fleeting moments we feel and then move past. But emotions, especially strong ones, don't always vanish. They can cling to objects, and few items absorb them as deeply as the clothes we wear close to our bodies every day. In Feng Shui and spiritual practice, clothing isn't just an extension of the self, it's a container of our emotional state. That favorite sweater you wore through a breakup, the outfit you had on during a hospital stay, the jacket you wrapped yourself in during nights of worry and despair. Those pieces aren't just associated with memories, they're infused with them. Emotion has a frequency. Sadness, anxiety, depression, and fear leave behind energetic traces, invisible yet powerful imprints woven into the fibers of your garments. And when these clothes are passed on, those emotions may be passed along too, like a silent whisper echoing in someone else's life. People who receive such clothing, may not understand why they suddenly feel uneasy, restless, or inexplicably burdened. They may experience heightened emotional sensitivity, feel on edge, or even encounter misfortunes that seem to arise from nowhere. But in truth, what they've taken on is not their own. It's the emotional residue left behind by someone else. It's not superstition, it's energetic logic. Just as certain places can feel heavy or give you chills, clothing carries the same potential, especially items worn during times of hardship, divorces, losses, failures, deep grief. These garments are emotionally saturated. They act like sponges, and when passed to someone new, they can unintentionally transfer that heaviness of the past into the present moment of another. That's why, in both ancient spiritual traditions and modern energy healing practices, we are reminded, never accept or give away deeply personal items without cleansing them first, not just physically, but energetically. Because when someone wears clothes that still hold the emotional pain of their past owner, they may unknowingly wear their suffering too. So before you give away that piece of clothing, ask yourself again, what emotions are stitched into these seams? Because in the unseen world of energy, those emotions don't stay behind. They follow the fabric and those who wear it next. In a world that praises generosity, giving away your old clothes might feel like a harmless, even noble act. But from a karmic and spiritual perspective, not all giving is equal. And sometimes what seems like kindness can quietly create negative spiritual consequences, especially when done without thought or awareness. In Feng Shui and many spiritual traditions, intention matters. So does the recipient. When you give your clothes to someone who does not truly need them, who won't respect or value them, or who may discard them carelessly, the energy you've infused into those garments becomes misdirected. That misdirection can create a kind of spiritual imbalance and energetic debt that returns to the giver as bad karma. Even more troubling, if the clothes you gave away still carry emotional or energetic weight, as we discussed earlier, and the recipient begins experiencing difficulties or misfortune, they may unconsciously associate those problems with the clothes and with you. They may not say it aloud. They may not even realize it. But the negative association has already formed, and with it, an energetic tie that loops back in your direction. This is how karma sometimes works, not through grand actions, but through the subtle exchange of energy between people, objects, and intention. Furthermore, not everyone who receives your old clothes does so with gratitude or integrity. Some accept them only because they're free, only to toss them away, stuff them into storage, or worse, use them inappropriately. And according to Feng Shui belief, when clothes that carry your personal energy are abandoned, mistreated, or destroyed without care, it may symbolically scatter your fortune, weaken your aura, or disrupt your spiritual field. So next time you're ready to give something away, pause and ask, who am I giving this to? Are they in true need? Will they treat this with respect? Because giving is not just about the act itself, it's about the energy behind it and the path that energy travels long after your hands let go. Most people don't think twice after giving away old clothes, especially if they no longer serve a purpose. But in the world of spiritual energy and occult practices, clothing holds a value far beyond the physical. In the wrong hands, something as innocent as a worn-out t-shirt can become a tool for dark intentions. Why? Because clothes are one of the most personal items we own. They rest against our skin. They soak in our emotions, sweat, energy day after day, moment after moment. Over time, they absorb our essence. And that essence, according to both ancient spiritual teachings and esoteric traditions, can be manipulated. There are those who believe and have witnessed that personal items, especially clothing, can be used in rituals, curses, and energy work. These are not fairy tales. In many cultures around the world, old clothes have been used to summon energies, cast spells, or create psychic bindings. In the wrong hands, your clothing could become a conduit for spiritual harm, a channel through which your luck, health, or clarity could be subtly drained. For instance, if someone harbors envy, resentment, or ill will toward you, they may use an article of your clothing in a ritual designed to confuse your thoughts, block your success, or weaken your spiritual protection. They don't need to touch you. They just need a piece of your energy. And your clothes carry plenty of it. This is why many spiritual traditions advise people to burn, cleanse, or bury deeply personal clothing. especially garments worn during times of intense emotion, pain, or transformation. Because in the wrong hands, those pieces could become spiritual weapons, aimed right back at you. So before you pass your clothing into the unknown, remember this. You're not just handing over fabric, you're handing over a part of your energetic signature. And that signature, once exposed, can be respected or exploited. In a world where unseen forces are always in motion, what you give away should never include your vulnerability. Not all clothes are meant to be passed on. In fact, some garments should never leave your home, at least not without deep spiritual cleansing or proper ritual disposal. Among the most spiritually sensitive are clothes worn during funerals, belonging to someone who has passed away or used during periods of serious illness. While they may appear perfectly intact on the outside, these items often hold dense, lingering energy that can disrupt the balance of the next wearer's life. You see, clothing worn in times of grief or physical suffering tends to absorb more than just bodily energy. It absorbs the heaviness of loss, sorrow, and struggle. When these garments are passed to someone else, they don't just wear the material, they carry the emotional and spiritual imprint of those difficult moments. People who unknowingly wear clothes linked to mourning or illness often report feeling cold, emotionally unstable, or even plagued by nightmares and chronic fatigue. Some describe a sense of unexplainable heaviness, as though an unseen burden is resting on their shoulders. These aren't just psychological reactions, they're energetic transmissions. Especially dangerous are items that belong to someone who passed away. No matter how well preserved they are energetically saturated with the vibration of finality, which in Feng Shui and spiritual traditions is linked to stagnation, decline, and even spiritual confusion. Passing these clothes to others, even with the best intentions, may lead to discomfort, misfortune, or worse, subtle spiritual attachment. Clothes worn during serious illness pose similar risks. Illness leaves behind not only physical imprints, but also a weakened energetic signature. Giving away such garments may unintentionally transfer that depleted energy field to someone whose aura may not be strong enough to resist it. This is why, before giving clothes to charity or to someone in need, it is essential to consider their energetic history. Ask yourself, was this piece worn in sadness, in suffering, in farewell? If the answer is yes, the kindest and safest choice may not be to donate, but to cleanse, to release, or to let go in a spiritually mindful way. Because when it comes to the unseen forces that surround us, some things are better left undisturbed. When we think of old clothes, we often judge them by appearance. If they look clean and smell fresh, we assume they're safe to wear. But here's the truth. What you see on the surface doesn't always reflect what's lingering beneath. Used clothing, especially garments that have been stored for long periods or kept in damp conditions, can become a hidden host for bacteria, mold spores, dust mites, and allergens. And unlike visible stains or rips, these microscopic threats often go unnoticed until they begin to affect your health. Even if secondhand clothes appear spotless, they may still harbor residue from the previous wearer. Sweat, skin cells, oils, perfume, or laundry chemicals. When absorbed into the fabric, these substances can irritate the skin, especially for those with sensitive skin or weakened immune systems. Common symptoms include itching or rashes, redness or swelling, respiratory issues like sneezing, coughing, or shortness of breath, general fatigue or feeling energetically drained after wearing them. For some, these symptoms appear almost immediately. For others, they emerge slowly over time, often misattributed to stress or seasonal allergies, when in fact, the real culprit might be hanging in the closet, but the risks go beyond physical health. From an energetic perspective, clothes can carry the residual field of the former wearer. If someone wore that shirt while battling stress, illness, or emotional turmoil, the fabric may hold that vibration even after a standard wash. And when someone else wears that shirt, they might feel sluggish, moody, or unusually exhausted without knowing why. It's not just your skin that reacts, it's your energy field. This is why both traditional healers and modern energy practitioners recommend that secondhand clothing should not only be washed, but cleansed energetically before use. Methods like saltwater soaks, incense, sunlight exposure, or essential oils can help dispel both the physical and spiritual residue left behind. Because in both body and spirit, what we wear affects how we feel. And sometimes protecting your energy starts with something as simple as being mindful of the clothes you choose to keep or give away. In ancient folklore and spiritual traditions around the world, there is a consistent warning: never discard your old clothes carelessly, because once those garments leave your possession without care or protection, you may unknowingly invite something back with them. You see, in the unseen world of energy and spirit, clothing is more than a physical belonging. It is a resonance of you, your aura, your memories, your life force. When clothes are tossed aside without intention, left in the streets, in alleyways, in dumpsters, they become energetic beacons, attracting not just bacteria or animals, but also wandering spirits. Spiritual beliefs passed down through generations suggest that when personal items, especially clothing, are discarded without proper spiritual closure, they may draw in lost souls, restless energies, or low-vibration entities. These entities may be attracted to the human scent of energy still present in the clothing. And once that connection is made, they can create disturbances that extend back to the original owner. That's why many people report experiencing sudden streaks of bad luck, emotional instability, or spiritual discomfort after throwing away old clothes improperly. The cause may not be physical, it may be energetic. Some even describe feeling as if something is following them, or noticing subtle shifts in mood and space that can't be explained. Even more unsettling is the folk belief about animals, particularly cats and dogs. In spiritual lore, animals are known to be highly sensitive to energy and the supernatural. If a dog drags away one of your discarded garments or a cat curls up in your old clothing outdoors, it's considered a sign of imbalance, an indicator that your energy field may be vulnerable or disrupted. This isn't just about superstition. It's about acknowledging that what we cast off without respect can still maintain a spiritual thread, and that thread might pull back toward you. That's why, before you discard clothing, it's essential to do so with intention. Whether through cleansing, burning, or ritual release, you must close the energetic door. Because once opened, not everything that steps through is meant to be part of your life. How to properly handle old clothes. Rituals of respect and energy release. In both Feng Shui and ancestral traditions across cultures, one principle stands firm. How you release something determines what energy stays with you. And when it comes to clothing items that have intimately touched your body, absorbed your emotions, and carried your stories, careless disposal is never a wise option. Tossing old clothes onto the street, into a public trash bin, or abandoning them in chaotic spaces doesn't just create physical litter. It releases your personal energy into unclean, unprotected environments, scattering your fortune and attracting unwanted energy back to you. This isn't just about etiquette, it's about energetic hygiene. Old clothes, especially those with emotional or spiritual weight, must be handled with conscious intention. That means folding them neatly, placing them in clean bags or boxes, ensuring they're in respectable condition. Choosing a worthy recipient, someone who needs them, values them, and will receive them with gratitude. When you give something away in disarray, you unintentionally pass on chaotic energy. But when you prepare it with care, clean, folded, respectfully presented, you bless the transfer with harmony and goodwill. The recipient doesn't just receive clothing, they receive the positive energy of your offering. It's also wise to consider the timing and destination. Donate seasonally appropriate clothing. Don't give away torn, stained, or energetically heavy items. These may be better repurposed, recycled, or respectfully retired through cleansing rituals. Before giving, hold each item for a moment and reflect. What energy does this carry? Am I ready to release it with peace? And if the answer is yes, take a moment of stillness. Offer a silent blessing. Thank the garment for serving you. Then give it away, not as clutter, but as a gift of closure, a final chapter of its journey with you. Because in the spiritual fabric of life, even the act of letting go has the power to create harmony or invite disruption. Let your gesture be one of balance, gratitude, and respect. Energetic cleansing methods before donation. Before a piece of clothing leaves your hands, especially one that has journeyed with you through emotional highs and lows, it deserves more than just a quick wash. it deserves a spiritual reset. In Feng Shui and traditional spiritual practices, old clothes carry not only dust and physical residue, but also energetic imprints, some of which may be heavy, stagnant, or misaligned. That's why one of the most important steps before donating is to cleanse the energy of each item with conscious intention. Here are 4 simple yet powerful methods for energetic cleansing. Nifatsum. 1. Salt water. Soak salt is one of nature's oldest and most powerful purifiers. Dissolve a handful of natural sea salt or Himalayan salt in a basin of water. Let the clothing soak for several hours. This helps neutralize any lingering negative vibrations, washing away the energetic residue of sadness, fear, illness, or emotional conflict. 2. Ginger water. Rinse used in many Eastern traditions. Ginger is believed to stimulate circulation and restore positive energy. Add sliced ginger to warm water and use it as a final rinse. This not only refreshes the garment, but also revitalizes its spiritual charge. 3. Sunlight exposure. Nothing renews like natural sunlight. After cleansing, allow the clothes to dry under the sun for several hours. Sunlight is pure yang energy. It burns away negative chi and infuses your clothing with warmth, clarity, and vitality. It's one of the most natural and effective ways to spiritually reboot a garment. 4. Incense and essential oils. Pass the clothing through the gentle smoke of sandalwood, agar wood, oud, or lavender incense to remove stagnant energy. Alternatively, you can lightly spray or pat the fabric with natural essential oils diluted in water, such as lemongrass, sage, or rosemary, to lift the spiritual vibration. Once cleansed, fold the garment with care, wrap it in a clean bag, and, if you'd like, whisper a simple blessing of peace and protection over it before giving it away. Because when you release something into the world, the way you prepare it determines the kind of energy it will carry and what may return to you in kind. Repurpose, recycle, or burn. What to do with clothes you can't donate. Not every piece of clothing is fit to be passed on. Some garments carry too much emotional or energetic weight. Others may be too worn, stained, or symbolically tied to moments that are best left behind. But just because these items can't be donated doesn't mean they should be discarded carelessly. There are respectful, spiritually aligned ways to release clothing that can no longer serve others, ways that honor the journey of the garment and protect your energy in the process. Repurpose with intention. One of the simplest and most sustainable options is to repurpose old clothes into practical items for the home. Soft cotton shirts can become cleaning cloths or dust rags. Worn blankets and sweaters can be converted into pet bedding or even handmade pillows. These creative solutions extend the life of your belongings while minimizing waste, and they keep the energy of the item close, where you can monitor and control it. Recycle responsibly. If you're not able to repurpose, consider donating your clothes to textile recycling programs. Many eco-conscious organizations and charities accept worn or damaged garments and transform them into new materials, insulation, stuffing, or even fresh fabric. This is a beautiful way to give new life to something old while supporting environmental sustainability. Burn with respect. For garments tied to sorrow, trauma, or personal closure, burning can be a powerful spiritual release, but this must be done with great care and reverence. Never burn clothing at night when yin energy is dominant and spiritual activity is heightened. Instead, choose a sunlit, open area, preferably in the morning or early afternoon when yang energy is strongest. Offer a moment of silence. Light the fire with clear intention, not out of anger or haste, but from a place of closure. As the smoke rises, visualize the energy of the past dissolving into peace. Bury with blessing. Another ancient method is to bury clothing in a quiet, natural space, especially garments from moments of deep grief or illness. Choose a place with minimal foot traffic. As you lay the clothing into the earth, sprinkle sea salt or the ashes of sandalwood incense into the soil. This helps neutralize any residual energy and returns it gently to nature. Because in the eyes of spirit, even what we discard carries memory, meaning, and energy. So treat each piece with the respect it deserves, and you will not only protect your own fortune, but also contribute to the greater harmony around you. If this message has spoken to your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe to Ancient Buddhist Wisdom for more teachings that blend ancient practice with modern clarity. Let your energy be clear, let your giving be wise, and let every release be a step toward deeper peace.